In recent years, Chinese tourists' uncivilized behavior overseas has frequently caused controversy, ranging from cutting in line and making noise to littering and even conflicts with others. Recently, two Chinese Dama got into a fight over lining at Tokyo's Haneda airport. Video from the scene showed that the two Dama turned from a verbal quarrel into a physical conflict, pulling each other's hair and holding onto each other. The scene was very chaotic. The Japanese police tried to mediate, but due to the language barrier, the situation became even more embarrassing. Some people even joked that the police were like jousting referees. Netizens joked that Chinese President Xi Jinping advocated, "Chinese people do not fight Chinese people. Why are you disobedient?" Another netizen said, "What a shame, let the whole world hear the voice of the Chinese Dama and everyone is disgusted with it." Some people also said, "The most annoying thing about traveling to Japan before was meeting this kind of people. All I saw were Chinese people of a certain age. Even though the plane has seat codes, they had to rush to get on the plane and get the best seat. When they sit in someone else's seat, they still feel confident, blame you for being stubborn, and even curse. There is nothing the flight attendants can do about this." Others said, "It seems that only in Japan and Taiwan did they become overbearing and confident. In Russia, if they were tearing apart like this, the police would have stepped on their necks." Overseas Chinese tourists often cause controversy due to lining up issues, and a similar incident occurred at Tokyo Disneyland at the end of September. At that time, Tokyo Disney Sea launched a new limited edition Daffy Bear product, attracting a large number of fans who lined up early to buy it. However, a group of Chinese tourists not only used an unmanned cushion to occupy seats, but also cut in line before the park opened and frantically cleared the shelves of Duffy Bear merchandise, causing other tourists to be very dissatisfied. According to eyewitnesses at the scene, some Chinese people are well organized and have a clear division of labor. Some are responsible for cutting in line, some are specializing in rush buying, and some are responsible for checking out. They ignored the park's regulation and purchased dozens of limited edition products at a time, making it almost impossible for Japanese tourists lining up behind to buy Duffy Bears. It's reported that the total price of goods purchased by a Chinese tourist that day was as high as approximately US $3,500. Disney staff tried to stop these coming in line behaviors but were met with loud retorts. Many Japanese tourists expressed anger, believing that these Chinese disrupted public order and ruined the normal shopping experience. The bad incidents involving Chinese tourists overseas don't stop there. Recently, a Chinese tourist hit an animal in a tree with a slingshot at the Green Mountain Wildlife Park in Chonburi, Thailand, sparking public outrage. The incident was filmed and uploaded to social media, and the park has called the police. In the video, the woman wearing a pink top and peaked cap showed off her slingshot skills in front of other tourists. Although Thai people tried to stop her, she didn't care. She even received praises from other Chinese people. This video has dominated the hot searches in Thailand in the past 2 days. Let's read comments from Thai netizens. Some netizens bluntly said, "Some Chinese tourists should not be allowed to enter the country. They have brought their bad habits here. Really disgusting." A Thai netizen shared his experience in a buffet restaurant. When the Chinese tourists arrived, they immediately swept away the entire plate of pork and shrimp, completely ignoring other people and making a very loud noise. This kind of behavior has given many Thai people a negative impression of Chinese tour groups, thinking that most of them have low quality and rude behavior. Some netizens pointed out that some Chinese tour groups are led almost entirely by Chinese tour guides. They eat, shop, and stay in Chinese-owned shops, forming a small closed circle that makes people feel uncomfortable. They criticize these tourists for not only disrespecting local rules, but also bringing bad habits to other countries. Some netizens also thought of previous incidents in China, such as tourists throwing peacocks at the zoo, and lamented that these uncivilized habits have also been brought abroad. As one comment said, "What a shame, taking these bad habits abroad will make the image of Chinese tourists even worse." In addition, the uncivilized behavior of Chinese tourists in Japan has been constantly exposed. In recent years, feeding the deer in Nara has become a popular activity for many foreign tourists. In Japan, the deer in Nara Park are regarded as messengers of the gods and are protected by the country. The Nara Deer Preservation Association even conducts population surveys on the deer in the park every year. Not long ago, some Japanese people witnessed a Chinese tourist wearing a white short-sleeved t-shirt and blue jeans punching and kicking a deer in Nara Park. Even though the deer had been driven away by him, he also chased and kicked the deer and even slapped the deer passing by on the road. A Chinese tourist deliberately dipped deer biscuits into deer poop on the ground and fed them to the deer. They also filmed the process and posted it online, causing public outrage among local people. Many netizens expressed anger. These Chinese should be deported immediately. Arrest them. Despicable people who only dare to do violence to deer. There's obviously legal protection, right? Why can't these Chinese people be arrested? In response, local people and police have stepped up patrols to prevent such incidents from happening. At the same time, some Japanese tourists voluntarily patrolled to stop these inappropriate behaviors. Recently, South Korean media also reported on the inappropriate behavior of Chinese tourists in Jeju Island, including defecating on the street and running red lights. In contrast to the civilized behavior in other countries, many owners who take their dogs out normally use plastic bags to clean up their dog's excrement. But some Chinese tourists defecate in public without any scruples, which is disappointing. This behavior not only affects the image of the local area, but also triggers widespread discussions about tourist literacy. This video shows a young mother letting her child defecate on the roadside in a shocking video. Some netizens posted a message saying, "Never go to places where Chinese tourists gather or participate in activities dominated by Chinese tourists." There was a luxury cruise ship that made its maiden voyage from Shanghai. In just a few days, there were more than a dozen quarrels and even fights on board. The Chinese passengers quarreled from the moment they boarded the ship until they disembarked, and there was even a fight over food in the restaurant. At every mealtime, the cafeteria almost becomes a battlefield. If you don't grab it, you won't be able to eat it at all. If you go after missing the peak period, you will often see empty plates. Many people lament that there is still a lot of room for improvement in the overall quality of Chinese tourists. One passenger said that he was neither good at fighting nor used to arguing, and the experience made him vow never to take a cruise like this again. The passenger cried, not to mention the staff who were scolded so hard that they had no power to reply. "I almost collapsed myself. I didn't want to say a word, I even wanted to cry. These past few days have really left a huge psychological shadow on me." It's reported that about 70 to 80% of the passengers on the ship are elderly people wearing tour group hats, and their energy is intimidating to young people. The survival skills summarized by young passengers are: try to stay in the room during the day, dare not go to the cafeteria to eat, and take photos until late at night until the elderly passengers have fallen asleep. What's even more frustrating is that these elderly tourists are fully equipped and bring their own speakers, and they either danced in a group or sang a chorus, making a lot of noise. The unsavory behavior of Chinese tourists does not stop there, and among them, Chinese Dama are the best. A group of Chinese Dama danced at the Thai airport as if no one else was around, and it lasted for more than an hour. This scene attracted the attention of many passers-by and also surprised people. Square dancing is common in China, but it appears to be particularly obtrusive in foreign airports, confusing and dissatisfying some foreign tourists. Many people believe that this behavior not only affects the travel experience of others, but also damages the image of Chinese tourists. There is also a video showing a Chinese Dama picking wild vegetables on the roadside in Sri Lanka. Although this behavior may be regarded as the joy of picking in China, it seems very strange and even considered uncivilized abroad. Some netizens said that if a Chinese Dama passes by without a blade of grass growing, the people trained by the Communist Party are either bandits or petty thieves. Some commentators believe that the progress in public facilities and labor systems in China is the result of integrating with international standards and benchmarking against international practices, such as public toilets, 8-hour working days, and health warnings on cigarette packages, etc. After communism completely destroyed China's traditional culture and moral standards, how big is the gap between this land and the civilized world? Recently, another frustrating incident happened at an airport in Saudi Arabia. A large number of Chinese passengers were stranded at the airport due to flight delays. They collectively shouted, "Go back to China," causing confusion and shock among passengers from other countries at the scene. A mainland Chinese netizen who was present witnessed the whole process. At first, he thought it was a protest against Chinese people, but after observation, he found that those who participated in the chanting were actually Chinese travelers who were troubled by flight delays and anxious to go home. According to reports, after a flight from Saudi Arabia to China was originally scheduled to depart at 2 a.m. on October 6 was delayed for nearly 24 hours, passengers became emotional and began to spontaneously protest at the airport. One of the passengers took the lead in shouting, "Go back to China," followed by a large number of Chinese tourists. This scene confused foreign tourists at the scene because this English slogan usually has the connotation of excluding and discriminating against the Chinese, and it's easy for uninformed people to mistake it for a collective protest against the Chinese. This incident triggered heated discussions among mainland netizens on the internet. Many people said that this was embarrassing and humiliating, saying that Chinese people even scold themselves and ridiculing this situation as Chinglish harms people. This situation is very embarrassing. In fact, what did these Chinese tourists originally want to express? What they want to express is, "I want to go back to China," but the phrase "go back to China" actually has a discriminatory meaning. So this video became popular on the internet all of a sudden. In fact, Chinese people also have problems when traveling domestically. A video showed that on a train to Haining, a Chinese Dama became angry because other passengers did not wear masks, making the surrounding foreign tourists very angry. Many people expressed dissatisfaction with the Dama's behavior, believing that her reaction was too intense and her endless quarrels in public were a sign of a lack of education. Some netizens said that there was no context and it's impossible to say who is right or wrong, but no matter how reasonable it is very frustrating to be yelled at by the Dama without quality. Some foreign netizens pointed out that when the epidemic was at its worst in 2020, I went to the supermarket and forgot to bring a mask. No one said anything about me. The clerk saw it and gave me a mask and I woke up. The woman in the video is not a staff member on the train. She has no right to criticize others. Just remind the other person it's okay if they don't listen, as unqualified abuse is too much. At a certain station, a middle-aged female passenger banged her head against a shelf because of a dispute with a store owner. This impulsive move attracted the attention of people around her, making people sigh that the title Chinese Dama is really worthy of their reputation. A video showed that on a flight to Chongqing on August 15th, a child was crying on the plane and trying to run to the first-class cabin. What is shocking is that the child's mother not only did not stop it, but also said, "Why not if there's room?" This action delayed the flight for an hour. The incident sparked discussions about flying etiquette and parental responsibility. In addition, on October 18th in Yangzhou, Jiangsu, the scenic spot responded to tourist behavior of violently shaking a century-old osmanthus tree in order to take good-looking photos, making it clear that this behavior is not allowed. This scenic spot emphasizes that all trees are protected and patrols will be strengthened to protect the trees in the park. You know, this situation does not happen by chance. In the video, we can see a group of Dama shaking the branches crazily in order to take pictures. Some commentators believe that when individual selfish behavior becomes common in a group, the original sense of shame and self-restraint will gradually disappear. For example, one person may spit secretly, but if this behavior is done by everyone, it will become public and even become a collective phenomenon. The degree of acceptance of selfish behavior by such groups actually reflects the character and moral standards of a nation. Through 75 years of propaganda, the CCP has successfully disrupted the normal thinking of the Chinese people. It mainly relies on the monopoly and censorship of information, endless education and brainwashing, and force to maintain the correctness of the CCP's totalitarian power. Obtaining information is one of the key ways for people to get rid of ignorance and cultivate independent thinking ability. However, the CCP's complete monopoly on information has resulted in the people being unable to obtain diverse information, and therefore they are unable to form independent thinking and fall into a state of being stupid. The CCP not only monopolizes information, but also monopolizes the interpretation of information, providing a single official narrative. Through large-scale propaganda, the people gradually accepted these one-sided views as the only truth, and fiercely opposed different opinions. This one-way input makes people narrow-minded and solidified, and gradually moves towards extremes. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.